It's given me great pleasure to welcome Rob Neal, Reach Role Model and Civil Servant to the ACES Youth Project Office to speak to some of our young people who are university students and graduates about the world of work, the Reach program, and also his general achievements. I think it's actually great that we have this interview today because it's really what ACES is about. Giving young people the opportunity to look at the past achievers, look at movers and shakers in today's Britain, like Rob, so that they can really aspire to aim higher, to go on to inspire the world.
So Rob, we know that you work at the Ministry of Justice, and could you tell us what your day-to-day duties consist of and the department you belong to?
Sure, yeah, great. Thanks for that, Cynthia. Yes, I work at the Ministry of Justice. As the title suggests, it's the government department that looks after all of the judicial system of the UK. It includes running all of the courts, that's the county courts, the Crown courts, and the magistrates' courts. Since May of 2007, that also includes Her Majesty's prisons, all of those prisons, and we've currently got about 85,000 people in prison. So that's a lot of people across over 300 different locations. Staff-wise, there are about 95,000 of us, so a bit more than we've got locked up. And my office, or the office I work in, is in London Centre. It's actually near Westminster and the Houses of Parliament. It's on a road called Petty France, which is where the old passport office used to be. And I'm at 102 Petty France, a big building there. Now my day-to-day duties, well, I work on HR, which is human resources, which is all to do with serving the people within the department in all of their needs around employment. So whether it's pay, holidays, terms and conditions of their employment. And what I do is work on something called employee engagement, which is all about looking at the individual and their experience in the workplace and how we can encourage them and their discretionary effort to do a bit more for the organisation.
And what qualifications do you need to become a civil servant?
Well, the standard qualification, Susie, is about getting your maths and English and 3 additional, well, back in the day it was O-levels, but GCSEs, A to C grade. So it is about getting your 5 O-levels that include English and maths to get in at the basic level. As I think you were saying earlier, Cynthia, you do get people who are overqualified now because the market is just saturated with people who can't necessarily get jobs in their first place of choosing. So they become a civil servant. We welcome them too. But you know, we'll find something for them to do. But invariably, I think being a civil servant is one of those professions where very few people, or a minority of people, choose it as their first choice because they're not altogether sure what it entails. Let's be honest about that. But from where I sit and knowing what I know about government, I talk positively about people becoming a civil servant once I get to know them and there's perhaps not a specific direction they want to go in, because there's such a variation. There's media in the civil service. There's business consultancy in the civil service. There really is.
Looking at a lot of young people right now, some people feel as though university isn't for them, and after school, that's where it finishes. They can't be bothered to go to college. What advice would you give them in terms of aspiring and doing something with their life?
Well, speaking as a parent, and my daughter's 16, and has just had her results, has just gone on to sixth form college. And I'd like to think my advice for any other 16-year-old would be the same as I would give to my own daughter. And that is, with the resources available to you, not least of which she's living rent-free, is to take advantage of that and to get not just as much or as many qualifications as you can, but to really go for what you enjoy doing. And we said it earlier in the interview, didn't we? But to really understand what it is that you enjoy, and nearly always that's what it is that you're good at, nearly always, and study it and really understand it, because you could spend your life studying many of these subjects. It's not just, it doesn't finish at 16. So my message would contain that message, that education doesn't stop at 16. I'm 45. Doesn't matter what the poster says, that was printed at I'm 45. My learning, as I said to you earlier, is just, the contrast button has just been turned up. There's a part of me who wants to go back to school. I'm in school. I'm learning all the time. So, for me, I would say to that person who's saying, well, they've got through school and they don't want to go university, they don't want to go college, they just want to go out there and work. The workplace is a tough place. And I'm not saying it should be put off, but to understand self, what is it that's motivating them to think that way and to do that, and to really take advantage of the resources available, particularly now around the offer of education and the routes to education, and to really equip and empower yourself so that you are really ready for the workplace, that you are fully qualified, fully able to take on that new area of learning when you do go into the workplace, because that's a whole different ball game. That is a completely different, it's not to be feared, but you will need to hold some hands, and you will need to network with some people if you want to get the kind of role and the kind of job that will have you spread your wings and really fly. And part of that, part of the air beneath your wings, is the qualifications. Your wingspan is linked to the depth and the quality of the qualification.
So many young people maybe feel today, because of the climate and because of the recession, that they see graduates finishing university, coming out and still not being able to get a job, or having to go and work at something maybe a lot lower than what they expected. And so young people may think, well, what's the point? Would you still encourage them to work through this tough time, get the right qualifications, or in something that they enjoy, to maybe when the time gets better, it will be there? Or
I would
forget uni and do something else?
No, I hear you, Susie, and I think I understand the question. For me, it's another no-brainer. Okay, if someone's looking for a shortcut what queue are they going to join? They're only going to be further back if they don't have the qualification. And for me, if you boil that choice down to its simplest form, we're saying either you leave without the qualification and join some form of queue, pull some ticket to wait on a job or to look for a job without the degree, which means you're further back, really. Just the logic of that says that. Okay, you can get lucky or you can bump into something, fine. That can happen to any of us. But actually, for the person who has then studied, they're learning something, they're exercising that whole capacity, that whole muscle of learning, which is good in itself for when they do get in the workplace. Remember, the learning never stops. Rather than allowing some idleness to set upon one and to end up without the real apparatus, the real fitness to learn, and then saying you're going to offer yourself to a potential employer or even starting your own business. It doesn't work that way. Prepare now. If you fail to prepare, you prepare to fail.
If there was one piece of advice or a message you could give to young people to inspire them to aim high, what would it be?
I think it would be something along the lines of work hard, play hard, but know and understand that you leave a footprint on this world and that others will be following you, and that you owe it to the world to treat it well and demonstrate your love for your fellow human being. And in that, you can do that, and you can achieve that, and you can get A star in that every single time.